Okay, so here we go. Thank you so much for everyone who is watching both live and on the replay. I'm Duncan Price from Mind Affinity. I'm a hypnotherapist, psychotherapist, and mindset coach. And all of that might sound really scary, but they're just labels. What I do is I help people just like you to use that power, because we all have immense power. And we are really good at using it to find new ways to trip ourselves up and get in our own way, right? What I do is I spend my time helping people to use that same power, and instead of fighting against it, which is just tiring, I instead help people to use that same power to move themselves forward and achieve more. Okay, great to see that you're watching, Charlotte. That means that it's working. If you can give me a thumbs up or something, or just drop me a comment to let me know that everyone can hear me okay, that'd be brilliant. So today I'm here to talk to you about the current situation and how you can turn that to your advantage in what I call the Coronavirus Survival Guide. So I've been for years now helping people with anxiety and difficulties that relate to it, so stress management and that side of things. And right now, there's more anxiety and stress in the world than ever before. But there is hope. In fact, there's a lot of hope. In fact, this situation right now actually does provide us with some real valuable opportunities if we know how to manage and control our reactions and our responses. So just to give that a little bit of context, what I mean by managing our reaction and responses, in my opinion, there's three things in life that we are all responsible for. We're responsible for our actions, the things that we do. We're responsible for our inactions, the things that we choose not to do. And thirdly, finally, and in my opinion most importantly, we're responsible for our reactions, the way we react and respond to what's happening around us. We cannot control other people's reactions, actions, inactions, but we can choose how we decide to respond to other people's actions and inactions. Okay, so with that in mind, that's what we're going to talk about. So what I normally do at this point is I ask out of those people that are watching, if you're willing to, I'd really appreciate if you can drop in the comments an answer to this question. So I'd like to know how you're feeling right now about the current situation on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is you haven't even bothered to get dressed for the last week, and you're finding things really, really difficult and challenging. Hello, Joshua. Thanks for watching. And 10 is you're absolutely on top of the world, loving every moment of this, and actually really enjoying the current situation. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you right now? 1, haven't even got a clue what days of the week are, let alone which one it is. And 10, absolutely loving this situation and embracing the opportunities. If I can get an idea of where people are at, that'll help me to aim and adjust the talk to suit you guys who are watching. Thank you for sharing that with us, Joshua. Appreciate the honesty. Okay, I'll wait for a few more of those to come in. And in the meantime, I will start to talk about let me give you a little bit of background of where I'm at. Okay, so I consider myself to be in quite a lucky position right now. I've got my own business. So I've managed to completely dodge and avoid any financial support from the government or anyone else for that matter. So it is absolutely all on me. I'm the only person who has any control or say over how I do financially through this time, because it's my business and there's no one else involved in it and no alternatives. But the good news is, I was meant to be away this month. I was meant to be in Australia. In fact, I'm meant to be flying back from Australia in a couple of days' time, having an entire month out of my business to go and enjoy exploring a new area of the world. But I'm not there. I'm sat here talking to you wonderful people instead. And a lot of people understandably assume that I would be absolutely gutted about that. And don't get me wrong, yeah, I'd love to be in Australia right now, but what that's meant is that during this challenging time, there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot more people that need my help now more than ever before. Because I had planned a month out of my business pretty much, apart from a few clients I was going to be seeing online, I didn't have a lot planned in, which means I've got so much more time available that I didn't think I'd have to be able to help you and the clients that I see and the people that I work with now when they need it more than ever. I'm in a really lucky position. Is that luck, or is that just my perception of it because I'm choosing to focus on the positives? I'll let you decide on that. Anyway, so here's me in this situation, now suddenly able to help a load more people and feeling pretty good about it. See, that's the thing. Change is difficult. Uncertainty is challenging. Us, as humans, we don't like uncertainty. I would argue that it's actually probably our biggest fear. They say you're born with two fears, loud noises and something else that I've forgotten. But I think actually the biggest thing that scares us as humans more than anything else is uncertainty. Yeah, that's why so many kids are scared of the dark. It's not actually the dark they're scared about. They're scared because they don't know what might be out there in the dark. And it's a very sensible fear to have. It's a very helpful fear to have, oddly, because by feeling that, what that means is that in that uncertainty, when we can't see what's going on, we then need to be prepared and ready so that we can deal with whatever situation arises, whatever comes up, whatever might come out of the dark. So they're not scared of the dark, they're scared of what might be out there. It's the uncertainty that scares us. But here's the thing, there's always change. Things change all the time. And as humans, we're naturally resistant to that change. And I'll go into that in a bit more depth later. But right now, the hardest part of any journey isn't, when you want to get from A to B, the hardest part isn't getting to B, it's leaving A, it's taking that first step. One of the advantages of this current situation is that that first step, that's kind of already been forced upon you. Breaking outside of your comfort zone, leaving that comfortable situation where you're certain and it's everything that you're used to. Stepping outside of that is difficult. We've all been thrust outside of that. We have no choice but to face change and uncertainty right now. But if that change is happening anyway, surely that makes this the perfect time to embrace that change and to turn it to our favor and use that discomfort that comes from it. And hey, let me be honest and clear. It's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to be challenged and struggling right now with everything that's going on. I've got friends of mine that do similar work to me who spend their lives coaching and helping other people who right now aren't in a good place and aren't happy. The difference is those that really understand it, those that are really making the most of this, they can accept that they're not in the best place, see it for what it is, but recognize that they already have the coping strategies and the ability that they need to deal with that. So it's okay if you're not feeling okay. The first thing is to not beat yourself up for that. But for those of you who are feeling okay, great. Grab that discomfort, grab this opportunity and make those changes that you've always wanted to make. See this time as an opportunity to embrace those changes that otherwise you wouldn't get round to making. It's almost as if a horse is bolted from the stable and it's running away. And there's no point running and trying to lock up that stable now the horse has already left. But equally, you don't just have to stand back and watch that horse disappear. If you're brave enough, you can grab those reins right now, you can jump on, and you can join the adventure. And once you do that, once you take that action to decide that you're going to join in and that you're going to go where this takes you, you're then on the horse and you have the ability to steer and control and guide it. You get to choose the destination and the direction. One thing's certain about this is that things are changing. What isn't certain is how they're changing. And you can't control and you can't influence and you can't change what's happening to the rest of the world. But what you can do is take control and responsibility for what's happening to your world. Decide on what matters to you and embrace the opportunity to create positive change during this time. One of the most important parts of looking after yourself, your mental well-being during this uncertainty, is to create some element of certainty. It's to build and improve upon what you do have. And one of the ways of doing that is looking at your routines. You'll already have routine in place. You were used to having different routine beforehand. You can use elements of what you used to do now to create some consistency. It's almost as if by having that routine, by sticking to that routine, what you're doing is you're finding stuff that you can control within this uncontrollable situation that you find yourself, if that makes sense. So I said I'd talk a little bit more about change and how you're going to be reacting and responding right now. And one of the things I want to talk about is what's known as the emotional cycle of change. Okay, so this is a model, an idea of the processes, the emotional journey, if you like, that we go through as humans when experiencing change. And though this is not a hard and fast rule, not everyone will go through this every time they change, and it's not been proven that these steps will always happen in this way, in this order, but it gives us a pretty good understanding of the kind of processes that people go through during change and that you've likely experienced yourself in the past and probably some of it right now as well. So the emotional cycle of change looks something a little bit like this, where your mood dips as you get to the middle. So you start off at the starting point, you begin any kind of change with uninformed optimism. So that's to say that you don't really know what's going to happen, but you can be optimistic about it. So if you're doing something new for the first time, for example, you might be feeling quite excited about the potential that it could lead, of what it could lead to, but you don't really know the work that it's going to take yet. So when you start off with something, it's really easy to be optimistic and buzzing and feeling really positive about that change, only to then, without really understanding the full effort that it takes. And then as you begin that journey, you then get to a place of informed pessimism. Okay, so what that means is at this point you suddenly realize the reality of the situation and everything that you're going to need to do in order to get through this, and suddenly it starts to dawn on you that there's way more to this than you thought, and that's scary and you panic and you want to just bury your head and run away. Then you hit the bottom of that. It's known as the pit of despair. What a lovely name for it. And at the bottom of that, that's when you're at your lowest mood. That's when you've kind of been through that slump and you kind of go, oh, I don't want to deal with any more of this. That's the time to keep pushing forward, because the other side of that, everything gets easier and your mood just starts to lift more and more as you go through to the point of actually having success. And then you've got informed optimism and you go on and you embrace and enjoy all of the positive benefits that come from that change. It's almost as if right now, or at the start, you're pushing a rock uphill. And it takes a lot of energy and a lot of effort to just keep going and just keep pushing that rock until you get to the top. But once you reach the peak, that rock will just carry on rolling downwards itself, the other side. It becomes so much easier and the momentum's there. But the thing is, when you're pushing that rock, you can't see around it. You can't see what's the other side. You don't know how much further you've got to keep pushing, but just keep pushing and you'll get there. See, that emotional cycle is very, very similar to the stages of grief, which we go through as humans and individuals, which you will have seen us going through on a cultural level right now with everything that's going on. You start with with denial. Yeah, you'll see that there were lots of people at the very beginning going, "Oh, it's not going to be a big deal. No, no, no. It's all just hype. It's all just sensationalized reporting." And then suddenly, actually, no, we're in lockdown and we're being told we need to stay at home. So it starts with denial. The next step is then normally anger. And now a lot of the time for us right now, that can be anger that's aimed towards people who don't seem to be following the rules. Or it could be anger aimed towards the people that we're stuck with because we're just taking our frustration out on them, even though it's not really their fault. The next step that follows, most commonly, is depression. It's that slump again. It's that bit where you're feeling down. Now, if you reach that point, the most beneficial thing you can do and the most important thing to do is talk to people about it. The best, easiest, and most effective way to get through that part of the experience is to talk to other people, because other people will have gone through the same, will be going through the same, or will go through the same. But there are people around you who will talk to you, that you can go to and talk to help you through that process. That's where you need the support more than anything else. But again, just as with the emotional cycle of change, when you get through that, everything becomes so much easier, because that's when you move on to acceptance. You accept it for what it is. So before that comes bargaining, by the way. And generally speaking, within this context, bargaining is about finding purpose, finding meaning. And there are things that you can do to help yourself with that. But that bit's so much easier as you then move on to acceptance and embracing it for what it is. So expect to go through different parts of that emotional journey. You can probably already see and identify that other people have been through similar parts of that. You've probably been through bits of it. Just look at where you're at now and think about what you can do to move through to the end part, to the positive bit where you embrace it. And of course, if you need help with that, I'll put my details in the comments. Please do feel free to get in touch. And actually, just the awesome people at Transitions, talk to them, because they have people that can help you. They'll talk to you. They'll know who to refer you to. So, in essence, ultimately, to summarize, what I'm saying there is that change is absolutely inevitable. Change is pretty damn scary, and it's absolutely okay to be scared right now. That's fine. It's okay to feel down and depressed right now. It's okay to feel however you feel at any time. But accept it, notice it, and recognize it for what it is, with the aim to then move past it and move on. Ask for the help that you need when you need it most. So that change is going to happen. It's going to be scary, but now is the perfect opportunity to jump on board this change, to accept the fact that you've been pushed outside of your comfort zone already. So if you're already outside of your comfort zone, what have you got to lose? This is the time to decide, okay, what do I want to do once this is all over? What routines can I put into place now? What can I do during this time to prepare me and get me in a better place for when this all ends, so that I can go and be the person I want to be and do the things I want to do? What's holding you back right now? Because before all of this, you were probably able to find loads of excuses and reasons why you didn't have the time for stuff, right? But now, most people are in the position where they've got an abundance of time. How you use that is entirely your choice right now. So embrace it and decide now and plan how you're going to use this time to your advantage. If your number's lower, if you're not in such a great place, here are the things that you can do to look after yourself and begin to build that number back up, to get to a place where you can then look into and plan and decide what you want to do going forward. Because, not everyone's going to be in that place. Some people are going to find it difficult enough right now just to do their normal day-to-day stuff, let alone think about where they want to be in the future. If that's you, that's okay as well. Start by looking at the basics. One of the best things to do here and this can work wherever you are on that scale, is make a list. Make a list of all the tasks that you'd like to get completed in a day. Yeah, like a dozen things. Include really, really simple things like get out of bed, right? Which some days is harder than others. I get that. Include things like have a shower, make the bed, yeah? But then also include things that you like doing that put you in a better mood, like put on good mood music. Also include things that you're not necessarily going to do every day, or that you wouldn't want to do every day, but you like doing regularly. You know, that could be baking, that could be colouring in, origami, arts and crafts, whatever it might be, hobbies that you like, working out, anything. It's entirely up to you. But make a list. Remember, it's important to include things on that list that you probably won't do or won't want to do every single day. It's also really important to include stuff you will just automatically do every day, like brush your teeth every morning, if you do. Hopefully you do. And so with that, what that does is you've got then something that you can tick off as you go. And because you're including basic things like get out of bed, you can already tick something off as soon as you've got out of the bed. The idea here is not that we want to tick all of those boxes every day. It's that we just want to see how many we tick each day. And if you have a particularly bad day, that's okay. Everyone has bad days. If you only tick 3 or 4 boxes, that's all right. But then the next day, see if you can do more. See if you can achieve more boxes. And then the best way to be able to kind of assess how you're doing in the bigger scheme of things isn't day to day, because there's naturally mood fluctuates on a day-to-day basis. So instead, add up all the boxes over a week and see how many boxes you get for the week. And then at the end of the next week, do the same thing. And compare week by week how many boxes in total you're ticking. And the idea is that you should see that number increasing. For some people it'll be gradually, for some people it will be more noticeable. And if it becomes easy and you're completing all of the things that you want to do each day, add more to the list. Or add some more challenging things to the list that are going to push you a bit more. It's your list. You can tailor it to suit what works best for you. Simple. Another thing is sleep. Sleep is so important and so key when it comes to regulating your mood and how you're feeling. So don't underestimate the value of sleep. Going to bed consistently at about the same time, getting up consistently at about the same time, really help you get a better quality of sleep and make it easier to fall asleep. So look after your sleep. Move more, exercise. It doesn't have to be a lot, but if first thing in the morning you can start by just stretching and then jogging on the spot or doing a few press-ups, something like that, just to get the blood flowing, will help improve your mood hugely, and will also help you feel more awake if you do it first thing, which means in turn that it'll help your sleep process. So yeah, move more, exercise. Doesn't have to be loads, just enough to get that blood pumping will help you start your day feeling more positive. Right, looking at the time, I could give you so many hints and tips, but I don't want to keep you for too long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop in the comments. I've got a free, it's completely free, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I've got a free guide to, it's called the Positive Coronavirus Survival Guide. It's about staying calm and positive, and in there's a whole load more hints and tips that I don't have time to cover here. So I'll drop that link in the comments. Feel free to check it out and see what you think. And by all means, contact me if you've got any thoughts or any questions. So in the time that we've got left, is there anyone watching who has any questions or anything that they would like to know or to ask about, about what I've just been talking about, or about anything mindset related, really? Got a few minutes, so I'll give you a chance, give Facebook a chance for the comments to come in. And if none come in, then that's fine. I'll find something else to waffle with and fill the time with. So while I'm waiting for those comments to come in, let me go over a few other points. Do you know what? Another really key thing is digest in moderation, right? There's so much information right now and so much bad news and all sorts of things being reported in the media and on Facebook and all over the place. Decide how you want to digest that information. If constantly keeping on top of the news and watching the news all the time is getting too much for you and it's bringing you down, then stop doing it. If you need to stay on top of what's happening, but you don't want the constant bombardment of it, then decide on what time, one part of the day, that you're going to check your news sites or check for the updates. Pay attention to it then, and then don't look at it for the rest of the day. That way you've got an element of control over when you take on board that news and that information. Take a break, take regular breaks. So if you are busy or doing things or finding yourself getting engrossed in something, make sure you take some time away and take a nice deep breath. And then also factor in time to relax. It's really easy when you're busy like this. It's really easy when things are so different like this to lose track of taking time to really look after yourself. So take some time out to really properly relax. And I don't mean vegging in front of the TV. TVs aren't very helpful. I mean doing something intentional to just relax. Be nice to yourself, understand and accept where you're at. And remember, it's okay to not be okay, but look at what you can do to improve it. And watch out for your screen time. That's another tip, because right now, most of our interaction with other people is being done via screens. So do make sure you're taking regular breaks away from the screen. And that can be lots of regular short quick breaks where you're just looking off into the distance to rest your eyes, where you have a stretch, run around the house, come back, but then also making sure that you take time, proper chunks of time where you put those screens down, leave your phone down and move away from the computer. Okay, those are my top tips. There's loads more, like I say, in the guide. Doesn't look like any questions are coming in, so I will pop the link to the guide into the chat. And if you've got any questions following on from this, please do feel free to reach out and get in touch. Okay, thank you everyone for watching. Really appreciate you guys being here. And if there's anything else you need, just get in touch. Cheers.